Hello, hello, hello. In today's video we're going to be painting up this little power armory guy from Fallout. Mate recently got a 3D printer and was testing it out, made this little guy up for me, so there's not much more to say, get into it. Yeah, let's go. Okay, I'd like to start off by doing his base before I start painting, and I'm thinking for the base a sort of wasteland, because that's how the whole Fallout things go. And I'd like to give it some height. Unfortunately, I don't have milliput, so we're going to use clay. It's pretty good air dry clay. I've used it before. Just fast forward to when I've done it. Okay, so the idea here is just to smush this blob of clay into the base to give it, just a little bit of lump. I'm going to do more work on top of it once I'm done. I'm hoping this is enough actually. But I just want to give the base some height. I don't want it to be all flat, because that would look bad. We don't want it to look bad. I'm going to be putting stuff over this base, but I think just in case there are areas where you can see through it, I want to make sure that it's all nice and textured, and so I have the ultimate texture, a rock. I'm gonna hit this with the rock. So keep repeatedly hitting it with the rock until I get nice texture. Look at that. Lovely. So for the base, now that I've got it all dried, oh, it fell off. Yeah, as you can see, it's dry now. A little plaque thingy. I don't know what to call it. I might glue it down actually. Give me a sec. So I'm going to glue it down, and while I do, I'm going to talk to you about what we're going to do next. So I've got this AK Terrains Sandy Desert. It pretty much is a texture paste that you put down and it dries like sand. I've seen it before, I've never used it before. Hopefully this will work out well. Let me just push that on there. There you go. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of slather it over here, not on the rock but near the rock, like push it up to the rock. And I'm going to hope it looks good. Ugh. Oh, that's weird looking. It's like peanut butter, but gone off. Oh! That's a strong scent. Okay. Oh! I did not like that. Oh! Don't inhale the pot. Very bad idea. Oh. Ugh. What tool is best for this? I got a knife. We're going to use a knife. Ugh. Let me measure this stuff. Yeah. Do I sort of just slice some off the lid? Oh, there's a dollop. And oh, that was way too much, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that might have been a bit too much. Yeah. It's okay. I can just sort of pick it back up and pop it back in. So, I think I just spread it around the base, don't you? I've already got roughly the shape I want with the clay, so I'm hoping that this will just leave a texture on top of the clay. Okay, so before I let this dry, I've also quickly primed up this tiny skull that you can't see because it's not in focus, from the Citadel Skulls box. A great box for basing, would recommend. And I'm just going to sort of sink this in the sand, I think next to this rock. Oh good, it's gone face down right in. I don't want any sand texture on the skull itself. There you go, that's not horrible. Maybe if I'm going to tweak it a bit, you'll see it when it's done. Finally, again, before I let it dry, there's something I want to try. I have a tin of sand. I'm hoping I can use some of this sand as very small rocks to scatter around in here. Sorry, the sandbox kind of blocks out the light. So, I don't want to get sand everywhere though. Okay, come here. I'm going to place that there, and then I'm going to pinch out some sand and just sort of sprinkle it in areas. And hopefully, I don't think they'll stick, so I'll push them in a bit with my finger. I'm hoping that these will just sort of add like little rocks, you know? Everyone likes little rocks. Just sort of tap the base to get rid of any loose ones. Pour all that sand back in. Close up my sand tin, put that away. And there you go. I think that doesn't look too bad. Okay, so the base has now dried and I'm quite happy with it. It looks really good. Can you see that? There we go. It's got really nice sand, the rocks look cool, I like the skull, but I think I'm going to paint it. So what I'm going to do is, I've stuck him down, he's all down, he's not falling off. What I'm thinking is black prime, heavy white zenithal, because I don't want to paint him in metallics because an all metallic man wouldn't look very good. But at the same time, I don't fancy doing non-metallic metal all over that. So I'm going to try some stuff out, try some new stuff I've got in my head, hopefully it'll look good. And I'm also going to paint the base while I'm at it, because I need to paint the rocks anyway. And it's going to be a pain to try and paint the rocks but not the sand, so I might as well just paint the sand. So let's get into zenithaling. Okay, so here's the finished result, if it will focus. There we go. I'm quite happy with it. I did a heavy sort of zenithal on the front, and then on the back of him you can see much less. But yeah, it looks really good. I'm quite happy with it. I think maybe on areas like the face I might thin down some Black Templar or Nuln Oil or something from Games Workshop and put it over there just to sort of bring out the details again. But other than that, I think it looks quite good. And we're ready to try out paint. Also the base is nice and white, so probably we'll just throw some yellows and browns on that. I'll do that after I paint him. Let's get into painting.
So as I said I would, I started off the painting by putting some Black Templar over his face and areas like his shoulders, just to get all the recessed areas nice and blackened up. I then, before I got onto his full armour, I noticed on some images online, I was looking up what colour he'd be, that in like his sort of inner leg bit, knee joints, and in his arm joints, and those two canister things on his back, they were sort of like tan colour instead of the I thought he was all metal, but apparently not. And so I quickly went over those with a quick tan, nice and easy. I then used a speed paint from the Army Painter. I don't usually use them, but I tried this one out because I thought it was the best thing, and it looked really good. It was like a nice blue, faded blue colour. It looked really good as a non-metallic metal. However, it didn't look metallic-y enough, so I did a sort of light metal dry brush over most of him. I think that really brought it out to a good metal look. I think it looks really good. I then painted his eyes and his tubes and a couple of other details with just a quick black. No highlighting, couldn't be bothered, this is a quick paint job. As for his gun, I wanted it to look metal, but I wanted it to be separate from him. So, whereas on his armour I used a sort of bluish paint, on his gun I used a sort of black brownish paint, and it looks really good for a metal gun. I also did a metal dry brush over that. Then, before I wanted to move on to basing, I wanted to get that little red symbol they have on their chest done. However, I'm not very good at freehanding, so this was a very short take because I moved the model around so much trying to get the right angle to paint it. It looks okay, it's very simplified from the actual logo, but it's not terrible. Onto the base, I painted the rock just in a grey, and I watered down my tan paint and just threw that over the whole base. The skull as well, I started off with brown and then highlighted it mostly up to the same tan. Now you may be saying, why are you doing the ground and the skull in the same tan? They'll just blend into each other. Well, that's where pigment powders come in. I mixed up some pigment powders, a little bit of orange with mostly yellow, and it gave me this nice sort of slightly orange sandyish desert colour. I threw that over the whole base except for the rock and the skull, and so now the skull looks different. I also put some on his legs and then watered it down to make sure it didn't stain him too much. And I think this looks really good. I then threw on some grass tufts, deserty ones, and that's this model done. I'm really happy with it. subscribe to see me paint more stuff. Goodbye.